What if I told you that the rain was my fault? What if I took something completely outside of anyone's control, like the rain, and said it was my responsibility? I know, it sounds ridiculous. But those 5 words changed my life. And maybe, just maybe, they can change yours too. 20 years ago, I know, long time ago, a group of friends and I had just started a small education company. We're organizing global trips for students, just like the ones you have at school. We're hopeful, idealistic, and honestly, just trying to figure things out as we went. It felt we were building something magical, dreaming up experiences that will shape lives. We believed in the power of education, and in travel as a tool for growth, and in ourselves. And even though we had no investors, no business background, and a million reasons why this might not work, we were in love with the idea. It was our dream, our chance to make a mark. Then, in 2011, just as we were starting to get some traction, the rain came. Not a drizzle, not even a storm. Colombia, where we started our operations before moving to the US, was flooded. Roads vanished under the water. Airports closed their doors. And the phones started ringing nonstop with cancellations. It felt we were watching our dream slowly drown. All the excitement, all of our hope was slipping away in front of our eyes. We were devastated. This wasn't something we did wrong. It was nature itself, completely outside of our control. I sat there with my friends in our boardroom, in silence, overwhelmed. Maybe all those people who said this idea was a bad idea were right after all. Maybe this was really the end of our dream. Then, one of them, who happens to be in this room today, and who also became my husband later, broke the silence with something so unexpected. We all started laughing. Let's say the rain is our fault. In Spanish, que llueva es culpa nuestra. Let me tell you, this is one of the smartest guys I ever met. And in that moment, his words were funny and absurd, but also powerful. It was exactly what we needed. Because suddenly, something shifted. What if we pretend it was our fault? What if we acted like we had control, even if we didn't? We stopped blaming, we started building. We designed better systems, communicated better with schools and families, diversified our destinations, reimagined the way we worked. We even decided to move our headquarters internationally. And we survived. No, we grew. Because we stopped waiting for the sun to come out. Psychologists call this mindset an internal locus of control. It is the belief that you, not your parents, not your school, not the weather, are the one responsible for your life. Not because everything is your fault, but because everything is your opportunity. There's a saying in English that says, blame it on the rain. It is a way of brushing things off, of blaming something no one can control. The rain becomes a symbol of something that is completely outside of our hands. But that day, we decided the opposite. We said something as uncontrollable as the rain, that would be our responsibility. And that decision changed everything. When you believe that, you act differently. You take action. You act with agency. You stop blaming and you start building. There is another version of this mindset, the external locus of control. That's when people believe that life happens to them and they're just passengers. And let's be real, we've all done it. We blame the traffic for being late instead of leaving earlier. We blame the teacher for being boring when we don't understand the topic instead of studying harder or asking for help. We say the coach didn't see our potential instead of staying after practice and training harder. We blame our parents, our friends, our boss, the government, the president, the soccer referee. Well, okay, sometimes it is the soccer referee. But most of the times, it's easier just to point fingers than to take a step forward. And I get it. Sometimes life isn't fair. Sometimes it throws you things you didn't ask for, you don't deserve, or you wouldn't wish to anyone. But the question isn't, is it fair? The question is, what can I do now? Let's talk about this idea a bit more. Research shows that people who feel they are in control of their outcomes, who believe in their own power, are generally happier and more successful. They are better at overcoming setbacks or adapting to change. This mindset isn't magic, it's science. I've experienced myself in my personal life, not only in my work. Becoming a mom didn't change the way I felt, it deepened it. With every challenge, with every unexpected turn, I remind myself I'm not a victim of my circumstances, but I'm the author of how I respond. And here I want to say something gently but clearly. Sometimes, in today's world, especially for women, we receive messages that positions us as victims first. While those messages often come from a place of protection or justice, they can unintentionally take away our agency. What I love about this mindset, about owning my story, is that I get to decide what motherhood means to me. I get to decide what kind of leader I want to be. I choose growth, even when it's hard. I choose to be responsible for my narrative. Psychologists call it internal locus of control, but I love calling it owning your story. And you'll hear me say this again, because it's one of the most powerful choices you'll ever make. Research shows that people with a high internal locus of control are often more successful, academically, professionally, and personally. Even studies comparing countries show that cultures with a higher average internal locus of control have stronger economic performance and higher levels of well-being. Why? Because believing that your actions matter drives motivation, effort, and long-term resilience. When we founded our company, we didn't do a business plan. We were not very business savvy. In fact, we were told this was a bad idea and that creating a company like ours in Latin America was never going to work. And yes, we made many mistakes, but our mindset proved them wrong. We didn't build a business around fancy strategies or radical business books. We created a company around mindsets, and in this case, around one phrase, que llueva es culpa nuestra. That phrase became our guide. It shaped everything. It meant showing up when things were wrong and asking, what can we fix? It meant taking feedback seriously, even when it stunk. It meant making bold decisions. Not because we were sure they were going to work, but because we knew we were going to figure out if they didn't. It meant having the courage to go on and to learn from every failure, even when it was easier to quit. That mindset, that idea, became our guide. Even if it's not your fault, ask, what can I do now? It's uncomfortable, it's not always fun, but it's freeing. Because suddenly you stop being stuck. You start seeing doors and windows where there were only walls. So let's bring it to your world. Let's say you failed at a test you studied for, or your best friend leaves you out of the chat, or you didn't get to the team you trained for all year. You didn't cause those things, right? But you get to choose what story you tell yourself. Do you say, oh, I'm just unlucky, this always happens to me, I'm not good enough? Or do you say, what can I learn from this? What's mine to do now? The first story makes you a victim. The second makes you powerful. You don't control the weather. You don't control other people. You don't control what life throws at you. But you always control the story you choose. So next time life rains on your parade, try saying, this is our fault. Not to blame yourself, but to remember that you hold the pen. You can write your story. Maybe right now, you're facing your own storm, big or small, personal or shared. If you are, remember this, you can rewrite your ending. You can choose your next step. You can choose your mindset. And I say this because I lived it. That small company we founded all those years ago, it made it. Slowly, imperfectly, and with 1,000 course corrections. Today is working with the best schools in the world, with our main offices in the US, and with an amazing team of beautiful, beautiful people. And we don't always know where we're going, but we stay committed to that mindset, to that idea that helps us grow. Act like it's your responsibility, even when it's not your fault. That choice, over and over again, it's what helped us build something meaningful. And I'm proud of what we created. Not because it was easy, but because we made it through the storm without ever giving up the pen. So write something brave, and make it yours, and own your story. Thank you.